Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Another day, another show with the BW Hotelier, but today is a different day. It's hard to be at work on a day when some of our bravest have had to give up on their lives. On the service of the nation, we've lost some brave hearts. My co-panelists, my co-speakers who share screen with me today, they're all sensitized. We're all aware of the tragedy that's befallen our nation and our forces. We put our hands together in prayer for them. May our Master take care of them and bestow them peace and space in the heavens. Yeah. Life must go on. After all, that is what we've been taught. These soldiers face so much, but then go on and take another shot. All for us as we sleep peacefully. Welcome to the 5th show of this new series of the BW Hotelier, the GM show. This is the first show of the South, and next week we will have the second one with another set of speakers, another debate, another topic. Before we move on to the East, Central, and then back to the North, West, back to the South, and then finally we do another one, a special on the Northeast. I'll be doing a lot more on this. We'll be doing a lot more on this, not I. In this series, we will also, like I said, have a focus show on the Northeast. The Northeast is our window to the East, and they deserve their space, their place under the sun. They are that part of the country which is the land of the rising sun. The topic for the show today is tech manufacturing and precision engineering giant. The South must go big on hospitality, travel, and tourism. Before I welcome all the speakers and our moderator, let me briefly share this show comes on air every Thursday from 5 to 6 p.m. Please block your time and be there. For any queries or any clarifications that you may have, please reach out to me, Ajit, Saurabh, Prerna, or write to us at the BW Hotelier at businessworld.in. Let me repeat, BW Hotelier at businessworld.in, and we shall respond pronto. Do also follow us on our social media, our handles on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. It'll be nice. The moderator for today's show is my friend Zubin Songadwala. He's the area manager South and the general manager for the ITC Chola Sheraton. Zubin Songadwala is somebody who's a veteran hotelier now, and I shall speak about him. Let me name all the speakers whom Zubin will formally introduce. Gaurav Miglani, he's the general manager at the Taj Bangalore at the airport. Hi, Gaurav. Sharad Puri, he's the cluster GM, Sheraton Grand Bengaluru Whitefield and Convention Center, and also the Aloft Bengaluru Cessna Park Business Park. Hi, Sharad. Srijan Vadhera, he's the general manager of the Conrad in Bangalore. Hi, Srijan. Madhav Sehgal, new to Bangalore, well, almost new. He's the general manager of the well-appointed the Leela Palace in Bangalore. Hi, Madhav. Rayan Aranha, my first show with Rayan. He's the general manager of the Grand Mercure in Bangalore. Hi, Rayan. Last but not the least, Girish Ganeshan. He's the general manager of the Radisson Blu Atria in Bangalore. Hi, Girish.
Hi.
Gentlemen, welcome to the show. Zubin Songadwala, like I said, he's the area manager South and general manager of the ITC Grand Chola in Chennai. Zubin has been entrusted with the mantle of overseeing ITC hotel operations in the South. His responsibility also includes the setting up and launch of ITC Hotels' first international foray in Colombo. I've seen that asset coming up. I've seen it close and upfront. Brilliant asset. And the expansion of the ITC Hotels' footprint in Sri Lanka. A lifer with ITC Hotels, Songadwala's journey began with the ITC Windsor in Bangalore, and since then, he's held senior management positions at the ITC Hotels in Agra, Delhi, Kolkata, and Mumbai. He was an integral part of the pre-opening team and was instrumental in setting up the F&B operations at the ITC Maratha in Mumbai. Under his leadership, ITC Maratha was established as a force to reckon with within Mumbai and came to boast of formidable award-winning F&B signature brands such as the Peshawari, Dampuk, Dakshin, and Pan Asian. That's putting it very briefly about Zubin. He's a book in himself as a hotelier. So I shall now hand over the baton to Zubin to take the show ahead. Zubin, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Bhuvanesh, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and good evening, fellow panelists. For one, I do find it extremely intimidating, Bhuvanesh, that one is I've been handed over this charge, and the second is that you have given me a panel which is entirely from Bangalore. So
that's by design.
I need to try and balance this out adequately so that we don't have too much of a Bangalore-centric conversation happening here this evening. We will look forward to some deliberations covering more than just Karnataka or Bangalore, but covering and encapsulating the entire South. So with me on the panel, there's Gaurav Miglani. Gaurav Miglani is the general manager of the Taj Bangalore, currently posted there for the last 3 years. And in his prior assignments, he was the manager of the Taj Bekal Resort and Spa in Kerala, which has actually been, it's really a case study in how a hotel has actually defined a destination. And he's done a fabulous job in managing that property there. 22 years, a lifer with Taj Hotels, IHCL, and that's something that resonates with me. Also a lifer with ITC, so I can imagine how satisfying a role like that could be. So welcome aboard, Gaurav. Not just what I mentioned about Bekal and Taj Bangalore, he's also had positions, great positions in senior positions in some iconic hotels like the Taj Mahal Palace Mumbai, Taj Lands End, the Taj President, Taj Samudra, and Sri Lanka, which is going to be our next door neighbor when we open a hotel in Colombo. So welcome once again. Coming to Sharad Puri, again an industry veteran for over 25 years, currently the cluster GM for Sheraton Grand Bengaluru Whitefield and Convention Center, as well as the Aloft Bangalore Cessna Business Park. So he's again a veteran who has actually had an exemplary track record and an amalgamation of knowledge, experience, and learning over the last 25 years in the luxury hotel segment. With leading hotel chains across the country. His current role, Sharad oversees the complete operations and management of the hotels, along with his leadership teams. And I know how tough it can be being a cluster manager, being pulled in various directions. So well done, Sharad, and a big responsibility as well. Welcome aboard with us. Srijan Vadhera comes next. Srijan Vadhera recently moved into Bangalore. Well, when I say recently, it's a couple of years now. Since 2019, he's been the general manager at the Conrad Bengaluru after his stint at the Fairmont in Jaipur. Srijan and I share a common passion. We've got some common friends as well. And more about that during our discussion as well, because we are going to get some perspective from Srijan about how it is that his passion can actually help us as we go along in charting a course for the tourism landscape in the southern part of this country. He spearheads the hotel's growth and expansion, remains focused towards further strengthening the brand Conrad in Bengaluru, marking it on the global hospitality map as a preferred destination. He's been associated with other hotel brands as well, the Shangri-La, Marriott International, Zuri, Hyatt, etc., in different capacities over the years. Coming to Madhav Sehgal. Madhav is another guy who we also share a common passion with. And Madhav is somebody who I'm seeing here today in his new avatar, or in his avatar as the general manager of the Leela Palace, Bengaluru, the newest entrant into Bangalore in August 2021. For the first time, me and I'm sure many people here would have seen him in a suit and a tie. Madhav has been well known for being the person at the helm at the Hyatt Andaz, responsible for actually creating awareness of a very unique brand that Hyatt is incredibly proud of, a flagship property in New Delhi at the Aero City, and he did a great job at getting that hotel to where it is at the moment. Once again, brings in about 20 years of hospitality expertise, not just in India, but in UAE and Canada as well. And he's worked with hotels, different hotels, the Taj Mahal Hotel in Delhi. Am I right, Madhav? Delhi, the Imperial Hotel Delhi, the Renaissance and Marriott hotels in Canada, the Fairmont Abu Dhabi, and Hyatt in his last, which is with the Andaz, his last assignment. And I'm also told you were here in Chennai as well at the Hyatt Regency.
I was at the Regency for about 3 years.
People still talk about you very fondly here, Madhav. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Moving on, we have Rayan Aranha, and when I received Rayan's CV, I found it a little hard to believe because it says here that Rayan is already in his 10th year with Accor and over 20 years of domain expertise in the hospitality industry. So it makes me think that you joined at the age of 12 or something. You must have joined the industry. So Rayan Aranha, the general manager of the Grand Mercure in Bangalore, and brand head for Accor's Grand Mercure and Mercure hotels in India as well. So a big responsibility rests on Rayan's shoulders, and with his experience over the last 20 years, he's going to give us a little bit of insight on his role currently, and as well as with his experience that he gained with the Taj hotels. Last but not the least, we have Girish Ganeshan. Girish Ganeshan is the general manager of the Radisson Blu Atria Bengaluru. You know, this is a hotel that I saw under construction when I was studying in the college, which is right behind your hotel, Girish. Leverages 28 years of hospitality experience, serving various chains like Leela and Hyatt as well, prior to this assignment. Result-oriented, focused, acknowledged as an engaging and energetic presenter, and bringing new standards to stay aligned with the brand and creating new concepts. Many may be in F&B, digital sales, marketing, etc. And we are going to hear a lot more about him and his experiences and what it is that he believes we can do in the southern region and the southern states to encourage tourism. So I will now hand over to Bhuvanesh, back again to Bhuvanesh, to begin the proceedings of the panel, as it were, and then afterwards we can take it as it comes. And there are some questions that we have got, but we'll keep it as well. While there is a structure to this discussion, we'll try and take questions of the audience and the people who have logged in and registered. How many registrations do we have, Bhuvanesh?
Bhuvanesh, you're on mute.
You're on mute.
So we have over 1,500.
Oh, well, now you made me even more nervous.
Yeah. Well, you know, when I was doing the so-called planning for the session and what are the important topics, I've been based myself in the South, and South has been huge on corporates, on technology, in precision engineering, but it has so much to offer by way of travel, tourism, and hospitality, and therein lies an opportunity. So in my view, South is the second biggest region after the North, right? With 5 heavy-duty states, plus Puducherry and the Lakshadweep Islands. So why don't I start first with you, Zubin, with a question that I'd like to shoot at you. If South is the biggest region in India after the North, if not the biggest, it also has a highly diversified setting that makes it low-hanging fruit for upping the travel, tourism, and hospitality business. In your view, since you've done This is not your first stint in the South, and now you head the entire business for ITC Hotels there. In your view, what will be the top 4 to 5 points to drive the business in the South?
Okay. Thank you for putting me up first, and thank you for letting me respond to your first statement, which I'm going to do, even though you didn't ask for a response on that. I would disagree with you when you say that South is the second biggest after the North. I believe that South is definitely the biggest. The most cohesive set of 5 states here in the South, giving the biggest impetus to the Indian economy. ITC Hotels itself, 41% of our turnover and revenues come from the southern region. And you talked about IT and manufacturing and precision engineering, etc. You talk about the big, not just the big cities, but even the smaller B cities, as it were, as you may call it. They are up there as far as IT, technology, manufacturing, Chennai being known also as the Detroit of India, among other things. So it's not just the traditional industries and businesses that we have been leaders and forerunners in, but even all the new age technologies and businesses. So it's something that we need to really take pride in, and we need to ensure that this continues. But as we saw in the last couple of years, the last 18 months, there's suddenly been a change, a huge change and shift in the business, the dynamics, the entire geographical shift, the shift in the sources of business, and the large dependence on the corporate travel, as it were, has really, in many hotels, has given us a big rude shock and a jolt. As far as the future of hospitality is concerned, it has to be a balanced approach with business travel and adequate travel from not just international, but within this country itself, to create a balance of leisure as well as corporate or business travel. So I think, and we realized that, and there was a sharp shift in our focuses. Suddenly started talking about things that were otherwise just written about somewhere in esoteric kind of write-ups about staycations, etc. It suddenly became mainstream. People started exploring their country more than they ever did before. People started taking road trips and understanding the geography and dynamics of their country. I would have usually, when I moved to Chennai with my family, it was in the midst of the pandemic. We would have usually flown down, but we actually drove down, giving us an opportunity to see so much more of this country, which we never would have seen. So the first thing that we need to do to ensure that this happens is road, air, and rail connectivity coming to the south. Earlier, Chennai was the place. If you wanted to come to anywhere, to any of the states, you had to land in Chennai and go around. Today, you've got airports, international airports, Kochi, Bangalore, Hyderabad, everywhere in the south, you've got something, an international flight coming and going. So road, air, and rail connectivity, I think, is critical. You've got Shatabdi expresses running between various states, even cities, even within the south, which is excellent. We've also got some popular getaways, beaches, mountains. We've got tropical rainforests. We've got the most beautiful beaches. You've got lovely hill stations. How do we promote that? How do we ensure that the connectivity to these places is good? And you have some excellent, we have some excellent accommodation opportunities, and not just 5-star hotels, but how can we now kind of get these various hotels, which are the homestays or the smaller boutique hotels, how do we get them onto a common platform? How do we have a standard rating for them, which gives the traveler a kind of assurance about some quality? So I think that is a great opportunity as well. Another thing that is so less spoken about, and unfortunately, when you talk Indian chicken, you talk, Indian cuisine, you talk butter chicken, and you talk chole bhature, etc. But the cuisine in the south, how we must use the southern Indian repertoire of cuisines as a huge peg. We've got, just in the southern regions, we've got 43 varieties of biryani that are available. Promoting the cuisine, I think that's a low-hanging fruit as well. Getting it, and within each state, you've got so many different sub-sections. Historical tourism. There is so much history, and so much truly Indian history compared to what you have in the rest of India. the truly Indian indigenous tribes came from here. The Chola dynasty, after whom this hotel here that I am sitting in has been named, spread its wings all the way down to Indonesia, Angkor Wat, Singapore. I mean, there's so much that we need to learn about and we can learn about. So I think these are the few things that we should be and we can be focusing on, and there's a lot that's already started, but I think it's just the beginning, Bhuvanesh, and there's a lot more that we can do to get some kind of action and some kind of traction going in this. And as we go along, I think we can go from state to state and see where the opportunities exist and what it is that we can do. So those are my thoughts on this, Bhuvanesh.
Excellent. So you've really summed up the entire South as best as you can. So why don't you take this from here and start the session?
Okay. So taking from where I said, Srijan, you've been there now in Bangalore for a couple of years. 1.5 out of them were under lockdown. But you still were able to make the most of it, and I believe, and I know for a fact as well, by managing to get out and off the beaten track. And I know, there are various opportunities that we have outside Bangalore. Mysore is one, Mangalore, Karwar, there's Hampi, there's Kurg, Chikmagalur. I mean, you've got so much, just name a few. Tell me about what it is and what do you believe are the opportunities that exist in Karnataka, and how is it that we can take this forward and not just depend on, like you said, IT and IT-enabled services, quote-unquote call centers.
Correct. Zubin, before I even answer what you asked me, I must congratulate you. You are a great orator. And I think Khanna Saab is packing his bags and moving his office to Chennai after listening your passion towards our part of the world. So
I'll just
done
settle for cash. It's okay.
Yeah.
I don't need anything more.
Sure. So as you rightly said, even during pandemic and after the first wave, I did make the most of it. And there's so many places to visit in and around Bangalore. Actually, Karnataka as a state, it said that one state, many worlds, and that's absolutely correct. Because in one state, you've got everything. We've got beaches, you've got backwaters, you've got places like Hampi, which have the historical, values attached with it. You can do different kind of tourism. You can even go on for your Ayurveda tourism to different set of tourism. And we've got vineyards. So it's unfortunate that Karnataka as a state is not well promoted as a tourist destination versus some of the other destinations. And it's not that the state is not working towards it. There's a lot of change in how the government is trying to promote Karnataka. And the new tourism policy also talks and has a lot of, leeway given towards promoting different areas like Hampi to Chikmagalur to Kurg. And earlier we were only known as an IT state and IT city like Bangalore. And the other thing that was known was Mysore. So now even the infrastructure is being developed to access all these areas. And I think taking the clue from what you even mentioned, that during the pandemic, people wanted to stay together, and there was a new trend of staycation. Even we developed something called Great Small Breaks, wherein it was to do with entertaining families. To the business that we used to do earlier was IT related, which was just got nothing to do with families or staycation. So we also tried to club it together with a vineyard visit to kids, different activities. I think as a state, the holistic approach of developing and talking about different destination needs to be taken up, and we also have to kind of look at different avenues of conducting business and attracting different business than only IT or IT related, predominantly that used to be in Bangalore. The complete shift is there from what we used to hunt for to what we are conducting and to what we are going to conduct for maybe a couple of months or maybe next full year. So that's my take on it. And I did all my bike trips with my close friends. We did. We used to stay in the tent, and I've stayed next to river. I've stayed literally inside forest, and I've made the best of it to whatever I could during this time.
Lovely. So right from the horse's mouth, somebody who's done it and is just not talking about it. Well, we look forward to more such things developing in the southern states and opportunities for exploring on your own terms. And that's, I think, the best way to see a state or to see any region, as it were, without being stuck to itinerary and things like that. Next, I come to Girish Ganeshan. I'm going to talk about a state which is very close to his heart, Kerala, and spiritual tourism, as it were. There are opportunities that we know about in the south, and not just Kerala necessarily, but if we talk about, suppose we talk about spiritual tourism in the south, be it Karnataka, be it Kerala, where do you believe are the opportunities as far as this segment of tourism is concerned, Girish?
Thank you, Zubin. Let me begin with first what our government of India is doing. I just want to share. A couple of years back, Government of India, Ministry of Tourism has launched a program, a mission called Prashad, Prashad. It means pilgrimage, rejuvenation, and spiritual heritage augmentation drive. It's called Prashad. So this is a mission they've started a couple of years back and launched the entire spiritual tourism dimension for the entire country, not just South, but for the entire country. Under this mission, they have created two subsections. It's called Swadesh Darshan and Deko Apna Desh. This is very big. I mean, the funding, we are talking of the tune of around 150 to 200 crores, and it's going on. It's recently, they have announced 15 circuits, entire India. I just want to name some of the circuits. It's called Krishna Circuit. So all the spiritual destinations across north, east, south, west is covered under that. Ramayana Circuit, Tirthankara Circuit, Sufi Circuit, Desert Circuit, Buddhist Circuit, Tribal Circuit. Mr. Bhuvanesh was mentioning about focus on East earlier in his opening address. It is big. It makes a huge thing. And when you said in your opening address that South has got lots to do in terms of offering, Government of India, Ministry of Tourism has already rolled out a beautiful circuit plan, which is yet to come out in a larger base, but it's already work in progress, which we have got a lot of opportunities to explore in coming years for us to look at it. This scheme overall, already 450 crore is already being involved promoted by Government of India. Already that much allocation is done for the budgeting to improve this. So this is a great spiritual dimension that we are trying to see from the Government of India side. Now, from our hotels, if you look at, begin from Kerala, Guruvayur, Trichur, in Cochin, all these places have got beautiful temples, churches, apart from the beach sites that they can look at it. Then you come to Chennai, the place where you are in, a lot of temples around. Coimbatore is another place where there is a lot of spiritual areas around. Remote Andhra Pradesh, you've got famous place like Tirupati, then you got Sri Shailam. There are these places where people have been going in the last 2 years, even during pandemic times when people have taken up going there and they are spending money for decent, safe accommodations. And these are the opportunities for us to see how we can further develop these areas, whether it is a 3-star, 4-star, 5-star hotels or branded hotels. And there's a good scope of opportunity for us to see how we can bring this.
So like from what I take from what you're saying, there is probably an opportunity that we have in this industry to partner with or to piggyback on these schemes that the Government of India has actually launched, and to be able to leverage that, not just to improve our business, as it were, but also to create more awareness about this wonderful part of the country.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Fabulous. Madhav, I know that you are a bit of a petrol head yourself.
Yeah.
And love exploring the South. Apart from manufacturing of vehicles and virtually all modes of transport are manufactured here in Chennai. I don't know if anyone knows that, but when it comes to 2-wheelers, 4-wheelers, trucks, planes, aircraft components, shipbuilding, etc., it's all happening, including railway wagons. So it's all happening here. So, but there has to be somebody to drive these cars and trucks and bikes, etc., and go around. So, there are a lot of motoring activity related tourism that happens in many parts of the world. Be it the Dakar Rally, be it even equestrian events or long distance or cross country kind of events on cars, horseback, two-wheelers, etc. Do you think there is an opportunity, or do you think that something like that here in this part of the country would work? Do you think there's a market for that?
Is there a market for that? Well, absolutely. I mean, the temple circuit that Girish Ganeshan is talking about, if there were followers and worshippers of motorsports in India, predominantly most of them are in the south,
The south.
and this culture has sort of been nurtured and developed here quite well. Up north, as you probably know, there's some really good motorsporting events like Raid the Himalaya and Desert Storm and Sajoba. Luckily, one has raced in a few of those, but none of them really became international motorsporting events. None of them sort of had people flying in from abroad. The ad hoc international team was participating. We're at the same time very fortunate in the south that we've got this talent being developed probably because, like you were saying, there's this automotive hub in Chennai and Tamil Nadu and Karnataka belt, right? So everybody's here. It would be obvious that they were sort of showcasing their skills, whether it's MRF or whether it's Suzuki or one of the other big companies that's producing these cars. We've got the MRF racing track next to you in Chennai. I've attended a few of the racing challenges over there. We've had Mick Schumacher was racing there. I remember not long ago, 6 years ago, Michael's son. And there was quite a race. It was part of the international circuit with the Middle East and sponsored by MRF. Coimbatore has got its own track, which is also fairly popular. Most of the rally schools of India are down here. The India National Rally Championship Circuit is driven out of Coimbatore for the most part. That's the only real big full-scale circuit which still survives in the country. At the same time, we've got people like Karthikeyan and Daruwala. I don't know if you know him. He's racing well in Formula 2.
Yeah.
We've got Gaurav Gill, who's an Arjuna Award winner, WRC World Rally Championship, WRC2, 7-time Asia Pacific Rally champion. So some phenomenal drivers and phenomenal talent in the south. What we need is sort of a collaboration with the tourism and sort of the government, tourism ministry and the government, and sort of to come together to be able to leverage it to our advantage and make a
we have to, because there's so much happening. We have to drive it into the state. We have to drive people to come in to start to be aware, create awareness. There's so much that you've just talked about, which I myself was not aware of, and I'm sure others also. Probably it's a learning for them.
Very individual driven right now. A lot of young sort of talent out there, and sort of still very expensive. So the state and the ministry sort of leaving a lot of opportunity behind, not driving it. Now you spoke about horse racing. Like tomorrow is the race of the 1,000 guineas here in Bangalore at the Bangalore Turf Club. It's going to be a phenomenal event. Everybody from Bangalore is going to be there, fully dressed up, hats and
many parts of the country.
Yeah, and it's going to be a great race. Later this year, I think the Invitation Cup for this year is going to be in Chennai, not far from you. And again, great motorsporting, great sporting events just need to be sort of marketed and talked about and supported. I think more the government as well as the bodies which are driving it. You look at Dubai, for example, they've got the whole expo, which has got a combination of sports and commerce and things like this happening, right? We need our bodies and sort of the government bodies to create events and things like that and leverage the opportunity you have. I mean, golf is another one, right? We can go on and on about the sports which are popular in the south.
But we'll come back.
Football is another one.
There's a lot more for us to talk about. There's no stopping. There's definitely no stopping what it is and where the opportunities exist. So we'll come back, and there's a lot we can talk about offline as well, because there's some things that I definitely want more insight on from you. But I'm going to come to Gaurav Miglani. Gaurav, you're in Karnataka, you're in Bangalore. You've been a lifer with IHCL. Your company that you work for is also into varied other businesses. A couple of them, Tata Beverages, from there is the tea and the coffee business. Coffee, if we talk about coffee, it's all happening in Mangaluru, etc. We talk about tea, it's all happening in the Nilgiris. It's again in our part of the world, it's our state. And there would be, I'm sure, a lot of travel that happens to these places, people who trade in commodities and coming in for the auctions, etc. Is there an opportunity? Do you believe there's an opportunity to create a kind of a package talking about creating awareness on this trade and this vertical of beverages, which is world-class products coming out of India and the south part of India, with an opportunity to sell people a package which includes pleasure as well as business, and the way Bhuvanesh calls it, leisure. Is there an opportunity, you think, there between combining business and leisure, like a stay and a vacation?
Pleasure with a B.
Pleasure with a B.
No, but thank you, Zubin. I think it's a wonderful question that you've asked. And you rightly mentioned, Tatas are not new to Karnataka. We've been pretty strong in our businesses in Karnataka, whether it is the coffee plantation, whether it is the coffee plantations in Chennai. We've been there for a very long time. And not just the Tatas, but IHCL as well has been sort of a front runner as far as Karnataka is concerned. We've got now 8 city hotels in the state of Karnataka. We've got 2 lovely resorts, one in Puri and Chikmagalur. And with our recent foray into the branded homestay segment with Aranha Stays and Trails, we've come up in a pretty big way as far as that is also concerned. So the last 2 years, we've opened close to 8 homestay options in Coorg and 1 in Chikmagalur. The resorts in Coorg and Chikmagalur have been doing exceedingly well since the time they opened. And our resort in Coorg, which is a Taj Madikeri resort and spa, has kind of put Coorg on the world map already, and it's been recognized as one of the finest resorts in the country year after year. Chikmagalur, our presence has been there for close to 15 to 20 years. The resort is well known. But I would say the real game changer has been the Aranha Stays and Trails. And it ties in very, very well with the factors that you mentioned about combining business with leisure. So these are wonderful homestay options which are located in the middle of coffee plantations. A lot of homestay options that we're actually running right now were planters' bungalows in the Tata coffee plantations, which we actually took over and have started running them as IHCL branded products. So here guests have the option of not just experiencing a wonderful homestay option, but one that is also backed by the IHCL promise of service, and also includes all the experiential aspects that you would associate with a coffee plantation, trails in the plantation, walks, a day spent with the plantation workers, a trip down plantation, the coffee estate, I guess getting an opportunity to understand the entire coffee manufacturing process. So there is lots happening on that front. And Srijan mentioned very rightly that Karnataka's one state, many worlds is a perfect tagline, though not marketed really, really well. Not too many people are still aware about the wonderful hill options that we have in the state of Karnataka with Coorg and Chikmagalur. It's only in the last decade or so that people have started knowing about these 2 options. Yeah. And today, I think we can proudly say that Coorg and Chikmagalur are wonderful alternatives to hill stations in the north that are already saturated to the brink, that are now crying for infrastructure. And here we have Coorg and Chikmagalur, which are virtually unexplored. And there is something for everyone as far as Coorg and Chikmagalur is concerned. And when we talk about the pandemic, it kind of brought about 2 great opportunities that I think we were pretty quick to latch upon. One was this hugely successful campaign that we launched, which was called the 4D campaign, basically Dream, Discover, Drive, Discover, and Delight. And it encouraged people to drive down to destinations which were at a driving distance from the metro. So when we talk about Coorg and Chikmagalur, the 4D campaign was extremely successful because there was this campaign which talked about encouraging people to drive down from Bangalore, from these metro cities, go and spend time there with their families. Aranha Stays and Trails brought about another great opportunity because people now have the option of hiring an entire bungalow for their families, not having to worry about having anybody else in that bungalow, an entire space to yourself that you could enjoy with your families in a comfortably safe environment. Workations actually brought up another opportunity that I think a lot of us actually latched upon. Especially for us, it made more sense because the concept of work from anywhere resounded very well with the opportunities that we had in Karnataka. So resorts in Coorg, Chikmagalur, Aranha Stays became perfect work and leisure options for people who are now conducting their business while enjoying a wonderful vacation in both Coorg and Chikmagalur. So I think the time is right for Coorg and Chikmagalur. There is a great opportunity that awaits both these destinations in the years to come. Srijan rightly mentioned, I think from an infrastructure point of view, there is some amount of work that needs to be done in order to make the drive to these destinations comfortable. These are still not the best motorable roads that we have. But yeah, Coorg definitely with connectivity coming from Kannur has actually benefited a lot. So now there is an airport which is exactly 90 kilometers from the hotel, from the city of Coorg, and people can comfortably reach there within 1.5 hours to 2 hours time, whereas earlier they were taking 5 hours.
The way Gaurav has passionately put in a plug for IHCL through his pitch. Well done, Gaurav. But I remember when we talked about this earlier, how excited Gaurav was about and how passionate Gaurav has been about this part of the country and this part of and this state, because there is so much that you have to talk about. I know, I do understand. But I think one thing, Gaurav, that you touched upon, but I just think it's important to emphasize, I think, for everybody on this forum, responsible tourism. We don't want these lovely destinations going the same way that the destinations in the north, which have been done to death, are going. We don't want that happening. Unbridled growth happening in all directions without any control at all. So I think if we're able to ensure that we do it in a sustainable and responsible manner, and many hotel companies, I know for a fact, Mike can vouch for that as well, are doing this, and it's going to just benefit us all in the long run. I come to Sharad here. Sharad, you're in Whitefield. Whitefield has come up in the last couple of decades. Last 3 decades or so. Earlier was only known for the Sai Baba Ashram, which is now pretty much in the middle of Whitefield. And it's also a gateway to Tamil Nadu, because that's the exit for the old Madras Road to get out of Tamil Nadu. But apart from that, I mean, we know for a fact there's so much happening there, in education and schools coming up on that stretch of road, the residential complexes coming up. But there is also a high dependence on tech and the businesses that are there, Sharad. Where do you believe, and what do you believe are the other opportunities coming your way in that part of the city, or that geography of Bangalore, as it were?
I think, the one thing that I think one of the things that pandemic has taught us is a lot about collaboration. And I think there are a couple of hotels in Whitefield. Apart from Marriott hotels, of course, we have big strength here. We have 4 hotels in Whitefield, and there are other good hotels here. And I think, we've actually, of course, it was in the past always an IT hub. But I think we've gone beyond IT now. We've gone beyond IT, and a large part of that contribution comes in from the large convention center at the Sheraton. And I think that large convention center is a big, it's 15,000 square feet, 50 feet high. So it's one of the largest ones in the country. And what it does is actually, we've really gone beyond IT. We've done events which are not just IT related companies, but or IT related conferences, meetings. And what it does is, I think it just helps the entire micro market. So we've gone a little beyond IT, and later in the session I'll talk a little bit more on how much more we have gone beyond. But Whitefield is a great space. I think Whitefield is a great space. It's made its mark. But having said that, like we all say, the South, the marketing of the South is always not been the strongest of how South has been positioned, or each of the states have been positioned. And really, if you put, if you were in school, you put 4 guys in a room, the guy from the South would do the most and talk the least. So I think there is a lot that can be done in. So
would you say the opposite applies for people from other parts of the country?
Well, I'm from the other part, so you can relate to it. It's gone beyond IT. And the good thing also is, IT is also coming back. I think we're getting a lot of queries now of, office joining parties. So that's the new business that we look at. A lot of companies are now looking at an office joining party, and that's something that has come up, and that's what the hotels in Whitefield have been suggesting to the corporates around here. So I think we've all have opened our minds a lot more, and not just the traditional international traveler, which also is trickling back. especially in Bangalore, in IT, in Whitefield. And I think really, I have a feeling, after some time, the micro markets that we are in, we'll go beyond the certain specific businesses that we were built for. So a place like Shri Perumbudur, was manufacturing always. I guess there'll be a time, Shri Perumbudur may not be always only related to manufacturing. Bangalore may not be related to ITS only. We all are talking of so many more opportunities in Karnataka. So I think the micro markets that we all are in, if there is collaboration within micro markets, I think we can go beyond the traditional businesses that we've had. And for us, I think the big advantage we have as Marriott is our Marriott Bonvoy and international visibility, the domestic visibility we have. That's a big plus. I think that kind of.
I'm sure, at the end of the day, the big boys will always have the synergies, the opportunities to work on brands that their mothership is working on, piggyback on that. But I think one thing's for sure, once bitten, twice shy, we can't just have over-dependence on one segment of business. And we have to have avenues open, we have to have options open, and we have to be able to change gears very quickly. God forbid, should anything happen in the future. So
we never know what will happen next. So
that's right. Yeah. Thanks, Sharad, for that perspective. And coming to Rayan, Rayan is another little, and Bangalore is full of micro markets, as it were, different geographies. Rayan, you're in Koramangala, right? Grand Mercure. You've got our friends on one side. Here, the Electronic City. You've got huge education institutes. You've got warehousing hubs. You've got Electronic City, which speaks for itself, also what it does. And you've also got malls and everything. And then again, it's another gateway to Tamil Nadu via Hosur. So, and it's obvious and evident that a hotel like yours would have been largely focused on the corporate business, as it were, depending on all the people who had their offices there. What are the opportunities that you have looked at for the non-core businesses, to move away again from your dependence of technology, engineering, etc.? Have you been able to successfully identify and tap other segments of business? Right?
So, Zubin, thanks very much. So just to start off, thanks, Bhuvanesh, for having me on this panel. And I'm glad that I'm here towards actually what is going to be the end of my tenure in Bangalore. And Zubin, to address what you said about all of us being in Bangalore, I'm going to move to Chennai now. So
that's all I can say.
I'm looking forward to it. So, I'm also moving brands. I'm going to move from managing Grand Mercure to managing a cluster of hotels in Chennai, which is 2 Novotels and an Ibisoi. Look forward to going through the various gateways from Bangalore to Tamil Nadu.
Lovely.
So, specifically towards Koramangala, before I get there. So Grand Mercure was our first hotel, 13 years in Bangalore. That's where Accor in Bangalore was established. There were 6 hotels now across the city. But this was the first, and given that Koramangala is a very upmarket and upmarket space for residential and commercial, it's always had a locational advantage, very different from most hotels in the city. So it's a very serene little location away from the hustle and bustle, which is, what Bangalore now is right now. So business towards this side of the city it's a very diverse corporate mix. I know IT engineering is always pointed out, but there are clients from all over the place, consultancies, banks, and now actually from the very, very fast rising education sector. Not to forget manufacturing, automotive, which is a large part of what Electronic City is all about. So the hotel does enjoy a fairly good mix of guests, primarily corporate, and a huge range of locations. So from the CBD area, from Electronic City, from Outer Ring Road, from Banagata. So it's an all-suite hotel. So Grand Mercure, that works in our favor. We have a lot of long stayers, either individually or families, and this works because Koramangala is a very, very residential favorable location. So You've got restaurant, malls, and pubs just thriving in Koramangala. If someone asks me to step out for a drink, I don't research anything anymore. There are more than, I think, 500 pubs in the immediate vicinity, and there's literally one popping up every week.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely, right. So it's a wonderful little micro market. So I must say,
I would recommend you can launch a package called the hangover stayover package.
no, that's just for me.
So,
It's just for me, and all of you on the panel here are invited for the hangover stayover package. So a major change during the pandemic, Zubin, for all of us is that, of course, for all of us, it's the tilt in the ratio that went towards domestic travel, right? And that's where it was nicer for this area, because Koramangala is a very niche business hub for startups in Bangalore. I think everyone who's been in Bangalore for a while will know that. Over the years, we've seen a large number of companies sprouting up here before they move, becoming larger and looking for spaces in IT parks. So this is a range of businesses. So it's either IT solutions, real estate companies, customer-oriented websites, food businesses. It's the home of entrepreneurs for over, I think, 2 decades now. So yeah, that's pretty much Koramangala and Grand Mercure for you in a nutshell. So welcome.
I think we've actually, it's been so engaging. Each one of us have been so passionately talking about our respective areas of awareness in the subject, and such a vast subject anyway, that I think we seem to be, we do have another round that we would definitely like to go through of discussion on various other subjects as well, or related subjects, but we are really running short of time. So I think
I'll take a 5-second commercial break, 5 seconds, to introduce the next show. Salman. So next Thursday, we have another show. This is the 16th of December. I lose track of dates because every Thursday. So we have some good speakers. We have a brilliant moderator in Ian Dubia. We have Manas Chakrabarti, Krishnamurthy, sorry, Sandeep Joshi, Tarun Seth, Sunena Sharma Manerkar, Neha Chabra, Rajesh Radhakrishnan. And of course, the subject is my favorite, my absolute favorite. Reduce, reuse, and recycle is sustainability mantra or just a slogan? So there's a surprise package. There's a couple in here, so you'll have to guess, right? Let's get on with this show then. Bye-bye.
And it's nice to see more than just one Lone Ranger from Chennai.
Yeah.
Up against everybody from Bangalore.
Yeah.
So both Tarun and Rajesh.
So I have a question for you, Zubin, before we go to the others. You're based in Chennai. Let us talk about Tamil Nadu and Puducherry. Pondicherry or now Puducherry. What are your steps, or may I call plans, for exploiting travel tourism opportunities in Tamil Nadu, specifically Puducherry? Is it union territory, its spiritual settings, and the ashrams there?
As far as I'm concerned, Pondicherry is just an extension of Chennai. I've in this short period that I've been here, I've made more than a couple of trips. It's such a beautiful drive. There's a whole belt there, and I was pleasantly surprised. I always thought that East Coast Road was a road that went from Chennai to Mahabalipuram, but only when I did the trip and when I learned a little bit more, I learned that East Coast Road is the road that goes from Chennai all the way down to the peninsula of India. So just a drive down that East Coast Road, and not just Chennai and Pondicherry. There's so much more even there. There's Tanjore, and there's of course a little bit off the beat, but Madurai, then Dhanushkodi or Rameshwaram, as it were. It's a revelation, this part of the country. And within Pondicherry itself, you're weaving in and out of Tamil Nadu as you're driving through Pondicherry because of the way that it's geographically constructed. You've got such a diverse diaspora, a set of people with diverse backgrounds all living together. You've got what is touted by everybody as, White Town or the French Quarter, which everybody talks about and is full of tourists. But the Tamil Quarter is as interesting in Pondicherry. There's the ashram, quote unquote, what they call the Aurobindo ashram, which is a revelation to see how such a beautiful ecosystem with such foresight was put together so many decades ago by Sri Aurobindo himself. You've got Auroville. I mean, skies in that small little geographical area, sky's the limit in opportunities. So, and there are some lovely hotels there as well, some fabulous boutique hotels, different at various price points. So I think at least a trail for those who don't necessarily have the luxury of time. Chennai, Mahabalipuram, Pondicherry, fabulous opportunities. Do you know that Mahabalipuram pre-pandemic hosted international surfing? It was on the circuit of the international surfing calendar. There was a competition that happened here every year. That's how popular it was. One of the few heritage towns here in this. It's a heritage site, UNESCO heritage site, Mahabalipuram. So I think opportunities, we keep talking about it. Now it's time for us to put our money where our mouth is and start cashing in on those opportunities, start promoting, start selling. I mean, I'm not even talking about Ooty and the other places which are done to death as far as tourists are concerned. But otherwise, great opportunities. So actually, I'm going to from here I will take it, and I'm going to actually carry that question forward and go to Srijan. And I'm actually going to go back a little bit to what we have been discussing about the traditional businesses that we've been doing. And somewhere here, we always, when there's a transition from north to south, where we've worked in various companies, hotels, regions, etc., there are always some learnings that we can pick up from there and bring in here. And then I'm going to Srijan. You were at the Fairmont in Jaipur, and that hotel opened actually with a bang, and it was known to be fast-breaking in terms of a destination for MICE, be it weddings or be it wedding-related events or otherwise as well. Do you think there's an opportunity for us to see and replicate that model anywhere here in the south, be it in Bangalore, be it in your hotel, any other destination, location, etc.? What is your take on that?
Zubin, as you rightly said, in my previous assignment, on an average every year, the hotel would do close to 55 weddings and 20-25 very large residential MICE events. And when I moved to Conrad, the business mix was totally different. It was more to do with FIT, with smaller conferences. But yes, after a year of me working here, and then came this pandemic, and then we all had to think different to drive business. So we all had to think different to attract weddings and small little leisure groups. So my recommendation to everyone on the panel would be that we should engage associations like EMA, which is Event Managers Association. So and also there's a Karnataka Event Management Association. So what I could do is, because I'd worked closely with them earlier, so I could get the EMA South India chapter to do a large event at my hotel, wherein they got speakers from different part of the country, and there was a collaboration for weddings to be attracted towards southern part of India. And I've of course I come from a small town called Karnal, and I've worked in Delhi. Most of these the large event and wedding planners, for them for them to come down and be in Bangalore or to come down in Chennai is one destination. They all feel it's Madras. And the funny part is, when you come and travel in southern part of India, as you rightly said, you're talking about East Coast Road, and as a matter of fact, that's the second longest beach in the world. So there's so much to explore in southern part of India. There are 5 different states, 5 different cultures. So on small little association with EMA, I could see a lot of collaboration between different wedding and event planners. Now, the other thing can be, how can we drive tourism through different ports, tourism through our states. And then we also have to get our hotels to think little different. We have to think as a wedding destination. So what little I could do and quickly we could do is to attract Marwadi weddings. We got a Maharaj from Rajasthan. We got a vegetarian kitchen assigned. To attract Punjabi wedding, of course, we are next to Gurdwara and Khanna Sahib, and we were joking earlier. Babe di Meher bhi hai. So this is the best venue for any Sikh wedding to be in. So I got some chefs from Punjab, and then similarly for to nikah at my hotel, because it's owned by Prestige, so there is no pork at the hotel, and then we have a religious for all religious ceremonies we've got a prayer room at the hotel. So all these little things, every hotel has to think it through. Then we also came up with a wedding boutique, and we also, instead of having a regular event planner, we got a wedding specialist who could just be part of the family and guide things that they could think of. And then again, as hotels, we all have to talk about things that can attract and get larger events and wedding and social gatherings towards our part of the world. And that is what happened in Jaipur. Destination was not built in a day, but over a year. And Kukas as a destination now with 3 other new hotels, they all are doing extremely well. But again, it took a little while.
Right. And I think you need to build the market through collaboration.
Correct.
Came on the head when you said that. In fact, Sharad touched upon it as well when we talked about Whitefield some time back. Collaboration with others and an interesting point. And I was talking to one of my colleagues, Rayan, who's on this call at the moment, a little while back. He said, Kerala has a mart, Tamil Nadu has a mart, travel mart, and I'm sure Telangana, Hyderabad, every state has their own. Why can't we have a southern mart? Everybody come together under one umbrella. Get in the event managers, get in the travel companies, get in the service providers for accommodation, different options. Maybe that's an option, and Bhuvanesh, an opportunity for BW to organize a South India travel mart. And come on board and start looking at
why just South? We can do one for the South in every region.
Oh, then you'll have to pay us royalty for.
Zubin, actually, that's a great idea, and all the hotels have to come together to win it for the destination first. Unfortunately, what we all do, and I'm also a party to it, is before the event even comes to the closure for the destination, we start hitting onto it for our own hotel. So I think the first is to win it for the destination. The Gems and Jewelry Show, which happened in Bangalore 2 months ago, that was one of the largest movement literally after 1.5 years, and that happened at BIEC, which is a different world. You need visa and passport to enter that exhibition center. But all the city hotels eventually got sold out. So I think we have to do something to attract larger events and work as a team along with different associations. That's my way.
Some timekeeping, gentlemen.
Sorry, I missed your expression of you putting your 2 fingers on your cheek. I'm very sorry. So guys who are watching the show, whenever he puts 2 fingers on the cheek, that's when the speaker has to just shut up. I'm so sorry, Khanna Sahib.
Wrong speaker.
No, we'll try and keep it. We can keep it focused and restricted to because there are some questions that I have in mind, and I wanted Girish to talk a little bit about now specifically Kerala and Ayurveda, medical tourism, and not just medical tourism in the mainstream kind of format, but Ayurveda. Girish, some quick thoughts and inputs on that. Let's try and keep this round a little more focused, restricted, just sharing of thoughts and moving on. Go ahead, Girish.
Thank you, Zubin. Like how I mentioned for spiritual tourism and initiative by Government of India, first let me share this also what Ministry of Tourism, what India is doing. They have launched a new national mission. It's called National Board of Medical and Wellness Tourism. Just launched, about a couple of months back, the meeting has been convened. Now this board, this National Board of Medical Tourism and Wellness Tourism, comprises of eminent doctors, practitioners from Indian Medical Association, from Quality Council of India, a whole lot of huge personalities are there. They are going to come out with a national strategy for medical tourism and wellness tourism in the coming year. So it is a huge opportunity for us, same like Prashad and the Swadesh Darshan, what I mentioned earlier. Even in medical tourism and wellness tourism, government is going to give us some good guidelines in the coming year or in the coming years to see how we can align our thoughts and then create various subject matters, what we discussed about. This is one aspect of it. Second, there are various agents, associations who deal with NABH accreditation hospitals as well as JCI. JCI is a Junior Commission International accreditation given to international travelers who can come and take medical treatments from our various hospitals. So once we tie up with, there are many vendors like EMA, there are many people who are dealing with these associations. So we are engaging them. We have good opportunity to support them. Once the travel relaxation and everything comes up, there's a huge opportunity for us to see how we can support medical tourism. As far as wellness tourism is concerned, every hotel has got a lot of spa. There are brilliant basics, which Radisson Group follows. Brilliant basics means good sleep, good bed, noiseless rooms, good lighting, good fragrance. We just launched a global program. Once you enter the lobby, it's the global lobby fragrance. We just launched across all over the world so that makes all the five senses feel good about it. And also we launched brilliant basics in the bathrooms, good hot water bath, good cold water bath, very basics. So these things add to the wellness tourism, wellness of the customers in various ways and means. Then you have got yoga, meditation classes, spa therapies, healthy menu and diet of preference in your outlets. So these are the chapters that we can add, and there is a good opportunity for us to show.
And with this, the naturopathy, Ayurveda, etc., this is the heartland where it all happened, where it all started, where it's so strong. So
absolutely.
I'm sure we can. We shouldn't miss out on an opportunity. That's for sure.
Thank you, Zubin.
Madhav, you just come in 2-3 months back. You know, a big case study on what was said many years ago, and it's written down in the annals of history of hospitality. A hotel is about location, location, location. And when your hotel opened in, what was
2001.
it? 2001.
2001.
You know, they said, wow, right next to the airport, rocking, all happening, super. And suddenly the airport flew off to another part of the city. And Leela survived. I mean, the rest is history. I mean, as far as Leela Palace is concerned, you know, what was a big strength, which became a weakness, you were able to play on some other strength. So what is it, and what do you believe, or as per I mean, you're looking at it now from a third party kind of a thing, outsider, because you were not part of all this when it happened, but you probably have heard the stories. What was it that helped, and I'm talking in more, not just for a hotel, but for, you know, all of us as industry leaders. It would have been very easy for the GM or to throw up his hand and say, that's it, guys, airport is gone, business is gone, I can do nothing. What are the learnings? What is it that you believe that you can share with us as learnings? How is it that you were able to keep that position that you were able to achieve many years ago, or regain that position?
Yeah, it's a great question, Zubin. It's a case study in itself. But the answer is actually not that complicated. For the most part, when you build hotels like Leela Palace Bangalore, you build them for generations, not centuries. Right? This is a beautiful hotel, and I'm fortunate and lucky to be here. It's our flagship property, and it's been here for 21 years, and it's sort of it leads the market on most fronts, and it's built relationships over the last couple of decades in this city, which are fairly deep across segments, core and non-core businesses. And now we've, and to the point of location, the location sort of, as cities have grown, have sort of morphed themselves also quite a bit. You look at Delhi, Aero City is now apparently the center of Delhi, right? With Gurgaon on one end and Central Delhi on the left. Central business district of Bangalore sort of morphed itself time and time again. Every time there's a new startup which comes up, the character of this city changes. Every time there's a new, outskirts starts to shroom up, the demographic and the style of this city and the shape of the city changes. So it's come to a stage where I think it's matured. We wish there were better roads in this city, but with that said, the central CBD area where a lot of us are, have seen a resurgence of the basic core segments that we are catering to, and complement that with the style, the depth, and the bones of a hotel like this, and a brand like Leela, and the dharmas and the philosophies that we bring to life. It becomes, I won't say it's easy to do. It takes a lot of effort, and everybody over the last 2 decades has worked very hard at it. But
I'm sure it does.
Yeah, but that's the game. You've got to be at the best. You've got to be the best at it to complement the location and the constantly morphing battle of location, especially in markets like Bangalore. I will say that now we've got 2 hotels, right? So we've got this beautiful Bhartiya City hotel, which is open, and Ruben and team are there, and the 2 teams are sort of complementing themselves. We've got a lot of the city sort of covered between the 2 of us, so that allows us to sort of encapsulate and build the relationship on both ends of the segment and the spectrum, and complement each other well. So that's a really good thing which is happening for us at the same time.
I totally understand what you're saying, and one person's loss probably was another person's gain. Fine, the airport went to the other side.
And if I may say, assets like the Leela, they become a destination in themselves, right? So people want to go there and live there. He said, listen, wherever it is, I want to be there.
Yeah, it's you have to create demand to all the previous. This discussion has been great. I've heard a lot about things in South India which I've not heard about before, right? And thank you for having me on this. But at the end of the day, like Srijan was also saying, you have to create demand for the city and for the unit and for the destination, the property that you have.
And that's basically not just hoteliering, but it's business management. At the end of the day, you have to tap into businesses which you didn't know existed, or which the customer probably didn't know he was.
And in these dynamic times more than ever before, right? You've got to be innovative, creative. You've got to be more agile, and leverage the strengths that you've got.
So Gaurav, I'm going to jump, and this is actually related to and carrying forward from what we were talking about, Madhav. Gaurav, you now on the other end of spectrum. You're right at the airport. Okay. Now, while the Leela had the airport and had various businesses in that vicinity, and it was access to Whitefield, because that was then the traditional route to Whitefield, and various other business areas, CBD not too far. So they had everything and they were perfectly poised. Well, you are at the airport with nothing around you. Taj Vivanta BIAL is right there. So now, what is it that you did to start or to attract business, and how is it that you were able to fit into that kind of a micro market, which is again a total non-technology, non-manufacturing, non-engineering kind of geography of Bangalore?
That's an interesting one, and there are 2 things that both Madhav and I think Mr. Khanna also mentioned. Location. That's extremely important. So currently we are blessed to be in a location which is right opposite the airport. So the biggest blessing in terms of room business is to be exactly opposite the airport with no competition at all.
Yeah, but then doesn't that kind of typecast you being an airport hotel?
No, that's what I'm saying. But that's also the biggest drawback when it comes to food and beverage business.
Yeah.
Essentially, a hotel is run on both rooms in food and beverage. And I would obviously give the credit of how this hotel is doing to the team that actually started about 5.5, 6 years back. It was very easy to brand this as an airport hotel. And you would have obviously the crews coming in and you would have the occupancy numbers going up. But I think a conscious call taken at that point of time is actually helping us out today. So at no point of time was the hotel branded as an airport hotel. It was always a luxury hotel, which happened to be right across the airport. So the positioning of the hotel was right. The rates that were being charged were absolutely right. The clientele that it attracted was right. So this is perhaps the only airport hotel which had 0 crew staying in it.
Oh, really?
0 crew at all. Why? Because you had a hotel that itself was managing 87% occupancy in the financial year 1920, getting excellent rates. Contrary to that, The easy thing would have been 15, 16, contract all the crews, get the crews in, the occupancy would have gone up, but the rates would have never gone up. So I think it was a right call taken at that point of time to get the positioning of the hotel right. What it also helped us to do is to create a demand as far as food and beverage is concerned. So the hotel started off with 3 great food and beverage outlets. So wonderful all-day diner, a lovely Asian restaurant serving a mix of Chinese and Japanese, a great Indian restaurant, a wonderful lobby bar, great banqueting. So incidentally, a lot of you in Bangalore also would not know, our hotel has one of the largest banqueting facilities today in Bangalore. It's a 9,000 square feet pillarless ballroom, 27 feet height. Another 16,000 square feet of meeting rooms, 14, 15 meeting rooms in various shapes. So the entire first and the second floor is meeting rooms. So that has kind of created a demand for a lot of residential conferences. So what we actually survive a lot on is high-end residential conferences. This hotel has actually been a preferred hotel for some of the senior management visits that have happened in the city. And unfortunately, for the city, but fortunately for the hotel, the traffic in the city was so horrible that whenever any of these senior management visits would happen, the CEOs would end up staying at the hotel. They would call their people from any part of the city over here for the meetings, conduct the meetings and go back. So we've actually catered to some very large town halls for top corporates. We've catered to board meetings of some of the top corporates that have happened here. But like I say, it all needs to change as we move ahead. So while the going is great at this point of time, occupancies during the pandemic were also good. We are still also doing well on the occupancies. But what do we do going forward from here on? It's similar to what Madhav quoted about the Leela some time back. You were right next to the airport, suddenly the airport vanished. What do you do then? Same thing happened with us during the pandemic. We were right next to the airport, suddenly there were no flights at the airport. How do you create that alternate business line? And that has been the plan all throughout. And some things that we've consciously worked upon is focusing on industries coming up with the KIDB Aerospace Park. So KIDB Aerospace Park is coming up in a big way. There are aviation related industries coming up over there. So we've got a lion's share of the project business coming.
The learning is that we have to just create new, when you look out for new avenues and create new opportunities.
100%. And itself is kind of expanding in a big way.
Who would have thought? And I think, this is the most revealing statement that you made, being a hotel at the airport.
I think we lost you, Zubin.
Ryan, two segments I'm going to touch upon. I'm going to take the first one with Sharad. You look like
Zubin, we missed you.
Yeah, he's coming.
And do you believe there is an opportunity in sports as a segment for hotels, hospitality, tourism, for tourism to tap into and create a market?
So, one is, of course, I would say Karnataka has been the soil for some great sports persons, Rahul Dravid, Kumble, Prakash Padukone, and I think in sport really golf is huge here. Lots of opportunities. I think there are a lot of big golf tournaments that one can expect at the Prestige Balshire golf course, which is one of the best in Asia. So a lot of things about that around golf that are going to come in. I think a lot of us have hosted a lot of the cricket tournaments, the football tournaments that have happened in the last couple of months in Bangalore, and we created small bubbles for them. I think the big one, I take a lot of pride on is something that, you've all heard of the Pro Kabaddi League, which is a large league, after IPL, that's maybe after IPL and football. Kabaddi is the big one now, and that starts late December, the Pro Kabaddi League. So the Pro Kabaddi League, the host hotel is Sheraton Grand Whitefield. The convention center becomes the stadium. So all the matches, the Kabaddi matches that you will see, that starts on 22nd of December, all the Kabaddi matches that you will see are all being played inside the convention center. We worked with the Mashal Sports and the Star teams to create a very effective bubble with a couple of our other hotels in Whitefield. This planning has gone in, for a couple of months. And I could have never imagined in my life that, a sport like kabaddi. Yeah, we've all done chess and billiards tournaments in hotels in the past, but I would have never imagined kabaddi being hosted and a bubble around kabaddi being created in hotels. So look, I think
you're saying the opportunities are tremendous.
absolutely, and necessity is the mother of all invention. Whether it's star sports or for us, for both, I think.
There's a trend,
and also an opportunity for BW to charge him money for this advertisement.
Absolutely.
Don't miss out.
The next time you hear Bhubaneswar, of course.
So,
Sorry.
Ryan, another segment, education. I'm sure during admission time, you've got quite a few education institutions around your hotel as well. The traditional times are during admission time, during graduation time, or when parents are called for peshi in front of the principal. There would be a lot of travel happening. Is there? Do you see that as a segment which hotels can build on? I mean, those who've been in Manipal, it's true. We've seen it for the last 30 years. Fortune Valley View, Manipal has been riding on that segment for so many years. But that's few and far between such things. But is there something that you have seen happening live in front of you?
Sure. Zubin, this is a question I'm happy to answer. But specifically the South, I think the South has a significant amount of leading institutions. And the attraction towards them is not just local, but also from around the world, not just from our country, and especially in South India. 6 IIMs, 5 IITs, and then you have the ISB in Hyderabad. And there are a large number of, very prestigious independent engineering, medical, hospitality institutions. So there is a lot of movement. There's a lot of business, and I'd split this majorly into 2 phases. One of them is where, you have global or your national students, they're visiting as visitors to key cities, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Chennai, and they're using this as a stopover, to go to your tier 2 cities where most of these institutions are located. So we've seen this in Accor, in Hyderabad. Novotel Hyderabad is used as a stopover to, for institutes in Andhra Pradesh or Telangana. Our hotels in Bangalore for various institutes, and we have a number of them, interior Karnataka. So during my last assignment, I had a brief stint with the Grand Mercure in Mysore. I'm happy to say it's a preferred choice for a lot of colleges which are there. So you've got the Mysore Christ College, the Mysore Medical College, and a lot of great institutions coming up and established there. And of course, the second stage is at ground zero, hotels which are located near institutions, and you've got your visiting faculty events, you've got F&B opportunities. So autonomous universities are also expanding networks in the South, and it's a newer and growing segment. Yeah. And this benefits the industry as a whole. So just the last thing I want to say is the silver lining is tech in education right now. So hybrid courses which are happening, they're collaborating with popular institutions. Students are frequenting the campus now during the course tenure, and these are not your traditional students, which you mentioned parents coming down. It's no longer the case because these guys are working professionals. They're looking to improve their resumes, and for them, staying at hotels is not an affordability issue. So yeah, I think there's quite some opportunity, and I think many chains are partnering with educational institutions right now. And most of these guys are our future customers. So it's a fantastic opportunity for the entire industry.
Lovely. With that, guys, I want to really thank you all for this interaction. It was really meaningful. Appreciate it. I want to thank Bhuvanesh, BW as well for putting this together, for getting our minds working in this direction. Things that we have been talking about and practicing over the last couple of years, now putting it into practice and actually institutionalizing it and creating better avenues, more avenues for us to sustain our businesses. So a lot of food for thought in what has been discussed. recordings of this deliberations are available, I'm given to understand, and Bhuvanesh, you will be sharing links for that as well. I think there's a lot of learnings that we all can derive from what we just have deliberated. Thank you, Bhuvanesh, back to you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Well, it's been a pleasure, but this show has had a overrun, but then I'm happy with it because what we've discussed is so valuable. Like Zubin said, the recordings will be available. They're available on our YouTube, on bwhotelier.com, on our social media. So they're going to be all over. We shall have more of these discussions. Our next show again is on the South. It's my favorite topic, which is reduce, reuse, and recycle. Is sustainability mantra or just a slogan? I mean, let's not just do lip service. We have some brilliant speakers and a good moderator in there. So come back next Thursday, same time. Thank you again, Zubin. Thank you, Srijan, Madhav, Gaurav, Sharad, Rayan, Girish. It's been wonderful to have you here and to be able to share the same screen with you. Thank you again for your time.
Thanks, Bhuvanesh.
And for all the valuable messages that you have for the industry to think about. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. Thank you, Madhav. Bye, Srijan.
Have a good evening, guys.
Thank you.
Sharad, Zubin.